How am I, somebody that isn't a trained writer, supposed to start their own fantasy world right from the very beginning? I don't know how, but I am going to do it anyway, right here on this channel. And here's what I mean by that. Every single day I sit down to work on AnyWorldButOurs, and I'm hit with this kind of wall. Everything that fantasy world building throws at you, the maps, the histories, the languages, the magic systems, the religions, the economies, all of this needs to exist within the world for it to feel real, right? And I'm the one who has to create that. I'm the one who has to figure all of this out. No one else is going to do it for me. And the thing is, like I said earlier, I'm not trained for any of this. I didn't study creative writing. I don't have an English literature degree. I'm just someone who loves fantasy worlds enough to try building one of my own. After all, reading so many other fantasy worlds and losing myself in them, I really want to do that for myself. And that really excites me and it terrifies me at exactly the same time. Now, I need to be really clear about something before we go any further. This video is not a tutorial. This channel isn't a tutorial channel. If you've come here looking for how a beginner will start their journey in fantasy world building, this is actually a better way to view it, because I am a beginner too. I'm not going to stand here or sit here telling you how to do fantasy world building, because I don't know how to do fantasy world building yet. What I'm going to be doing is showing you what happens when someone who has no experience with this, generally doesn't know what they're doing, is trying to figure it out in real time. I don't have that safety net to fall back on with experience. I'm not trying to be that person who says they've solved a problem and go back and explain it. I'm right in the middle of this process, and I'm want to be showing that to you guys. I've had some comments on my previous videos where I think people have got the wrong end of the stick and have seen me as presenting myself as an authority on world building, and that isn't the case, because I'm not an authority on world building. I'm in the exact start of this process, and that's what I'm documenting here. So you might ask, Luke, why are you even doing this? And this channel, AnyWorldButOurs, it was always supposed to be about world building and fantasy storytelling. The name kind of gives it away, right? AnyWorldButOurs, but somewhere along the line I got lost when I started this channel years ago. I started doing videos about Star Wars shows, live streams, commentary, reactions, and I did enjoy it. I do love making those kind of videos, but here's where that content finishes. I've stopped that content now. This is the content I wanted to do from the start, and the world building, the actual reason I started this channel, it just kind of, sat there whilst I was doing all of this, collecting dust, if you will. I never really allowed myself to get going with it. And I think, if I'm being really honest with myself, and this is the part that's hard to admit, I was scared to actually start. I'm still scared now, because starting the world building meant facing the fact that I don't know how to do it, and reacting to videos and live streams, those felt safe because the show gives you the material. You're just talking about things you enjoy. But building something from nothing, that's a completely different thing, and that's what scares me. So fast forward to now, I've made the decision that obviously the reacting content needs to find a new place. I don't know where yet, but somewhere. And this channel is going to be precisely and exactly about my world building journey and the process behind how I'm going to create all the worlds I will create. And I am terrified. And here's the thing, I'm not just terrified of how big this project is, because it's massive. It's, mammoth, it's huge, building your own world and everything within it. I'm also afraid of how it is going to be received, because like I said, I have had comments on previous videos where people have assumed I'm talking from a position of authority, like I was telling people how to do things and this is how world building is done. And obviously that's not the case, as I've explained, and I'm explaining. This is the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. I am learning on the job. I am figuring it out as I go. I'm not an expert, and I'm not claiming to be one at all. I think that this fear that I have, the fear of being misunderstood, it stops genuinely creative people in pursuing quite a lot of things in what they want to be creative with, whether it be world building like me for this channel, or artwork, or anything like that. You become afraid of what people will thinking that you are pretending to know what you're doing, when you're just trying to figure it out. And that's what I'm trying to do, and show you guys the process whilst doing that. Let me give you a real example of what this looks like day to day when I am working on this. Right now, I'm stuck. I don't mean I'm stuck like writer's block. I'm kind of stuck in this tension between two things. On one hand, I want to document everything, every note, every sketch, every idea. I want it on camera, because that's what the start of this channel is, right? It's the day one documentation of AnyWorldButOurs and the worlds that I am creating. But on the other hand, if I am setting up a camera every time I jot something down in a notebook, or a drawing I do, or creating the map, it starts to feel unnatural. It starts to feel very forced, because it's like I'm performing the creative process instead of actually doing it. And, you know, that's kind of the real fear that I'm struggling with here. Not that I can't build the world, because I'm enjoying that process and getting going with the ideas and the drawings, etc. But that by trying to document it at the same time, I might break it. I might lose like the actual magic of discovery because I'm so focused on capturing the moment. The cameras are set up right, I've got the right angles, and so on and so forth. But then, alternatively, the opposite fear hits me. What if I don't record something and it turns out to be like the idea, the gold mine, the thing that makes the whole world click, and it's just gone because I was too worried about the camera feeling weird? That's the predicament I'm in at the moment. That's the tightrope I'm trying to stumble across. I don't have an answer for it yet, you know. I'm just trying to figure it out. And I genuinely want to know, guys, have you ever felt like this yourself? Not with world building, maybe specifically, but the thing where you're trying to document your creative process and suddenly you're not sure if the camera is helping you or it's hurting you, where you're stuck between wanting to capture everything and then also feeling like the act of capturing it makes everything change with what you're making, because that's where I am right now. And if you've actually got thoughts on that, I mean, like, want to discuss it, drop them below, because I do read them all and I do reply to every single one of them. And I think back to Tolkien, right? The guy basically wrote the blueprint for fantasy world building. He invented modern fantasy, if you will. And he wasn't a novelist or a creative writer when he started. He was a philologist, a language professor. He built Middle Earth because he needed a home for the languages he was inventing. He kind of went the wrong way, or the backwards way about that. He didn't have a creative writing degree. He didn't wait for permission. He just kind of followed what interested him and built something extraordinary. And that's what I want to do. So maybe that's the real permission. Not I know what I'm doing, but I'm interested in the process and I'm interested in it enough to figure it out. So what does building my fantasy world look like for me right now? It looks like a sketchbook. It looks like a notebook. Physical ones with half-formed ideas, crossed-out maps, drawings, notes. It looks like world anvil documents that mostly are empty because I'm still deciding what fancy world building lore matters enough to write down. It looks like me sat at this desk at weird hours, staring at blank pages and just kind of letting myself do the fancy world building, the drawings, the sketches, the ideas, the jotting down of notes, even if it's bad. And the thing is, some of it is bad, probably a lot of it. But, you know, that's the point. You can't edit a blank page. You can't improve something that doesn't exist yet. I keep telling myself the same thing over and over and over again. I don't need permission to be a fantasy author. I don't need a degree. I just need to start and see where this journey takes me. I could have waited until I had something finished to show you guys. A completed world, maps that made sense, something that looks impressive. But here's the truth, that could take years with where I am right now. And the interesting part, the part worth watching, it all happens before any of that exists. So instead of waiting until I look like I know what I'm doing, you're getting the version where I don't. And if it works, you'll see it work. If it doesn't and it falls apart, I guess you'll see that too. Either way, you're not getting a reveal, you're getting the whole thing, the whole process. So here's my question for you guys, and I genuinely do want to know this. What's the one thing that you're afraid to start? Not because you don't care about it in any way, shape, or form, because you do care about it so much that the idea of getting it wrong feels like it matters more. Drop it in the comments below, because, like I said earlier, I do read them all and I do reply to every single one of them. Because I do think there's something very powerful about admitting what does scare you and then doing it anyway, regardless of how scared you are of it. So this is it, AnyWorldButOurs properly for the very first time. No detours, no falling back on content that's safe, just me trying to build the thing I care about and you watching this happen in real time as I do create these things. Let's embrace our nerd life and our inner nerd selves, and let's create without limits. Subscribe if you are along for the ride. Catch you in the next video, guys.